In this tutorial, I want to walk you through how to submit your work to Tiki for our timeline assignments. Please see the other video that is here in the timeline tab as well. If you're viewing this through the timeline assignment instructions, please also go to the timeline tab in Blackboard so that you can find the other video that discusses the content of the assignment in more detail. This tutorial is all about the technical side of things. So I did want to show you how you get to the course timeline. So let's start there. I'm going to click on the timeline tab. You've probably already gone there if you're watching this video, but still. So there are a couple of ways to get to the course timeline. The easiest one is just to click the link there at the top, and that in a new tab has opened up our class timeline. And you do notice that I have already completed an entry here. I'm going to go ahead and delete that so that I can show you how to put it back on. For our purposes, I'm also going to log out so I can show you that. I apologize for my allergies. It's a horribly windy day. Things really, the dust has really kicked up. So I'm back here in the timeline tab in Blackboard. I'm going to open the timeline assignment instructions. This is the Google Doc that walks you through all of the various details of this assignment, including how it relates to the guiding questions for each unit. This link here can also be used to open up the course timeline. So it's the same thing as what I just showed you. Please note that here in the assignment instructions, toward the very top, you'll find the username and the password that you'll need to use to log on to our course timeline. You do not need to create your own Tiki account. Instead, we're all using the same one so that we can build our timeline together. So going back over here to the timeline then, I'm just going to copy the username, Control C. I'm going to click login. So if you can't see the login button, you just have to click away from that intro slide, click login. And I have various timelines, so that's what we're seeing here. So in the username box, you paste the username. Then I'm going to go back over to the other tab, grab the password. It's fairly easy to remember. And I'm going to paste that into the password box and click login. And for some reason that was wrong. Let me try it again. I think I may have not highlighted. Yeah, I didn't highlight the whole old password that was there. So when you get to this page, all you need to do is click Modern Latin America right here. I get a common question about people who scroll down and they see this that says you've reached your account's limit on timelines. That's okay. We only need one timeline because we're all working on the same one together. So instead, just click here, Modern Latin America. Don't click over here at any of those because I don't want you to accidentally delete the timeline. That could be horrible. It's never happened, by the way. I've done this for a few years now. It's never happened. So good to know. So here's the page that you just saw when I was logged in when I first started the video. The admin functions up here are the most important for adding to the course timeline. Going back to the timeline assignment instructions, so we're going to be toggling back and forth a bit between these two things. I'm going to scroll down. I'll explain what needs to take place in the ID step and the connection step in the other video. But what I want to show you is this example that I created. So I'm going to open that. It's another Google Doc. I like those, apparently. This example, though, shows you how to kind of create the various parts of the assignment that you need to do. And I'm going to use it to copy and paste the information onto the timeline. So what I've just alluded to there is the fact that you'll need to complete your work in a Word doc or a Google Doc or Pages, whatever word processor you use. Save that on your own. You'll also need to submit this document to Blackboard. So there are two submissions for these assignments. One of those is submitting the document to Blackboard. The other is completing your work on the course timeline. Okay, so let's see. So my entry here, it does fit with Unit 2. It is on the idea of cultural transculturation. Or actually, it's not cultural transculturation, just transculturation in Latin America. This is a major theme in terms of thinking about culture and ethnicity. And you can read the actual post and think about how it relates to the guiding question later. But you'll notice what I've done here is I have the title, I have the time frame. Most of them aren't as broad as this one. I mean, this goes from the whole colonial period into the present. Most of them will be a little more specific than that. One of the things that you have to do as a historian answering questions and looking to post to the timeline is decide how you will define the time frame for your entry. So if you chose a historical figure, for example, if you chose Simon Bolivar, you could put the years of his life, his birth to his death. That's one way to go about it. Or you could post the years where he was most influential in terms of the independence movement. So you might go from like 1811 to 1830, closer to his death. He, of course, was born much earlier than that. But the point I'm getting at is you have to make decisions. And this part of the assignment, at least, is to help you think about the types of decisions that historians make when they create historical narratives, historical accounts. And so, like I've mentioned elsewhere, history is not about memorizing dates and names, but it's about interpretation, making a case, and trying to show as many perspectives as possible to answer important questions about the past. So in that spirit, then, we're working on this assignment. All right, so as I said, I won't rattle on about the details of the assignment itself, but instead show you how to post it. So once you know what your topic is, mine again is transculturation, I'm going to copy that title and I'm going to go over here to the course timeline. Before you do any of your research, and this is by the end of the first week of each unit, you should create a placeholder on the timeline. And so what I mean by that is you should put your title, the time frame, and your name on the timeline to claim your topic. That means when others come here and look, they'll know, oh, somebody's already doing transculturation, so I can't choose that topic. I'm going to choose something else. You can choose things that are closely related. So you could choose something like mestizaje, which is the term for racial and cultural intermixing. In Latin America, it's different than transculturation in various ways, but it's something that's similar. So, excuse me, again, allergies. Take care not to post the same thing that someone else has already posted. The example I give in the timeline assignment instructions is the U.S.-Mexico War is known by many names. It's known by the Mexican-American War. It's known as the War of North American Invasion or Intervention south of the border. If someone's already posted then on the War of North American Invasion, you can't post on the U.S.-Mexico War because even though those names are different and they do show different perspectives, it's the same event. So I hope that makes sense. If you have questions about that, please do ask. So once you're in here, logged in, all you need to worry about is this create new story. That's really the only function you'll need to use. So I copied the title so that I could put it in here. There it is, transculturation. As we noted, it went from 1492, whoops, I didn't mean to do that, 1492 to the present, roughly. I could look up the exact date that Columbus arrived, but it's not super important. The thing you do have to do, though, is you have to actually click on the calendar. You have to click a date, even though if you don't, even if you're using a range like I am, and you don't have a specific date in mind, you still have to click one in order for Tiki to save your date. So I've put in 1492, it's AD, I clicked March 1st, somewhat arbitrarily, and I click confirm, and now there's the start date. I did mention it goes roughly to the present, and so I'm going to put March 2019, and then I'll forward to May. So I'm making this video on, it's because I was confused by their calendar. I was looking for this to be Sunday. Today is May 20th. This is actually the first day of classes that I'm making this video. So for my summer 2019 semester. So I'm going to click confirm, and you'll notice the dates have changed there. Where it says enter, I'm going to move my head over here. I just realized it's in the way. Where it says enter story info, I'm going to put my name. And then I can pick a category. This tends to be a theme, and then I'm going to click save. So what I've just done is I've created my placeholder. If you click here, you'll notice the story is empty, but it has my name on it. It has the topic. That's what you need to do for the placeholder part of this assignment. Just close that, bring the admin menu back. Okay. So at this point, I can go and I can do my research. I can find an outside source that adds new information, that's a credible source, something where I can trust the publisher, the author. I know it's academic. I know that it's been reviewed, or at least it draws on sources that have been peer-reviewed, that are well-known. So I know that it's based on factual evidence. Of course, interpretation is always going to be another matter, as we've talked about elsewhere. But there is a process for kind of identifying the most factual, most credible accounts. So I'm going to do all of that when I go to do my research, and then I'm going to write my post. So as I mentioned, you do all of that in a Word document, Google document, whatever you use. And once I've done with that, I'm going to copy all of my information over. So as you've noticed, one of the things that we need to have is that outside source that I mentioned. Here's the link to mine. Mine's from a Google Books source. So I've copied that URL, and I'm going to put it in the link box here. So I just do a Control V, click Save, and now you'll notice that there's this Find Out More button. If I click that, it will open in a new tab the source that I found. So this is a book on transculturation. So I'm going to close that because you can find it elsewhere. I'm going to leave my entry on the course timeline. Next, I go back over here and I grab the bulk of my post. So the paragraphs that I've written to define transculturation, and then also the last paragraph here that explains how transculturation addresses the guiding question for Unit 2. And that draws on examples from our course readings. So I'm just going to do a Control C, back over here. And I don't want to put this in the intro box, because if I do, it will appear in italics, and it will all be, the text will all be smashed together. So instead, I'm going to go over here to Extra Info in this box and do Control V. So you'll notice everything's there. The paragraph breaks are there as well. Click Save, and there is the text. What it's missing is the media. So you can choose either an image or a video. I've already found a video. So this one was just from YouTube. You can recognize that URL, I'm sure. And I'm going to do Add New Media. I just copied it, so I'm going to paste the URL into the source box. Then I'm going to choose video. This one's a video. I could choose a thumbnail, I could add a caption, but those are not required. You don't have to do that. And I'll just click Save, and there's my video. Now, something I do want to show in this video is how to correctly paste an image into Tiki, because it can be tricky. You can't upload images with the free version of Tiki that we're using. And so what I usually do is go to images.google.com. There are other ways to find images online, just whatever works for you. But if you don't really have a method, just do images.google.com, and then you can search for whatever your topic was. So I'm going to do transculturation in Latin America, and we'll see what comes up. Okay. Just for the sake of showing you how to do this, I'm going to just choose something. What we see here are the covers of books that have to do with transculturation. because this is the kind of theme and topic that it is, there are a lot of different images that could work. I do mention La Virgen de Guadalupe and her relationship to the Aztec moon goddess in my post, so I'm going to choose this image. So what I've done is I've just clicked on this thumbnail, and it brings up this picture here. So what I need to do, I can't just copy the URL up here in the search bar. That won't work. What I need to do is put my cursor on the image itself, and then right-click, or you do a control-click or a two-fingered click if you're using a Mac, like I am. Then this menu will pop up. You need to choose Copy Image Address. If you're using a browser other than Chrome, or if you're using a PC, the terms might be slightly different, but whatever the option is that will allow you to copy the URL for the image itself, that's the one you need to choose. I've chosen that, so it's now copied. I'm going to go back to the timeline. I'm in the media tab here. I've already added a video, so I'm going to click Add New Media. In the source box, I'm just going to paste the URL that I just copied. It's an image. I'm not going to do a caption. I'm just going to click Save. Now you'll notice that you can toggle back and forth between images and videos on your entry. You don't have to put both. You can put multiple images or videos if you want to, but it's not required. You just have to do one or the other. But again, I wanted to show you how to do both. So I'm just going to remove that so we can see my post. This is what the completed post looks like. So you'll have it either an image or a video there. If you click on the image, it will enlarge it. If you click on the video, it will play it. You can scroll down, read through the entry. You'll do this when you're making connections to others' entries. You'll want to read what others have posted and what their interpretations of their topics are relative to the guiding question. And then there's my Find Out More button, so it's all here. So now I know that's done. It's saved. One of the reasons that you have to post both to Blackboard and to Tiki is just in case anything happens to the Tiki posts. I've never really had anyone mess around with others' posts, which is good, so let's keep that going. But in the event that something accidentally happens, I can use what you've submitted to Blackboard to see what you've written and give you a score there. So it's kind of a fail-safe, a check on the fact that we're working together on a timeline that's a little bit fluid. All right, so I think that makes sense there. I'm going to close the example document and open the assignment document one more time. Below the example, there is an FAQ, a frequently asked questions page. As it notes here, I made it for my New Mexico history classes, but the questions, the answers are all going to apply to our class. So please do take advantage of that if you have questions. If you've looked at all of the resources I've given you and you still have questions, or even if you're trying to look at the resources and they don't make sense and you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. I am always happy to help out. Just before we go, I did want to show you how you submit to Blackboard. I'm going to move my head over here, maybe. There we go. Move my head over there again. As you scroll down here, you'll see these submission folders. You can get to all of these via the unit learning modules, but if you want to use the timeline tab, you're submitting for Unit 2, you can just go here. And this will give you the area where you can click, and what we were working on was the ID step. You have to do both an ID step and a connection step. So for the first part, that's what I just showed you how to do. You'll click here, and then you'll just use the Browse My Computer to attach your file and submit it. And then, well, submit's behind my head. I keep doing that, but you'll click Submit and you'll be done. For the connection step, let me go back over here just for a second. I'm going to open the extra info below all of the everything that I've posted. When you go to make your connection, and to do that, you have to see what others have posted, and you have to think about how your topic relates to someone else's. So something like transculturation, if someone else had posted on mestizaje, for example, or if someone had posted on the Virgin of Guadalupe, or religious conquest, all of those kinds of things relate to transculturation. I could write a paragraph in which I explain how those two those two topics are connected and how both of them together help us better understand the answers to the guiding question. So I've already addressed that with my individual topic. I'm going to take it a step further in the connection paragraph and then also explain how looking at these two things together helps me add even more to my answer, helps me to better understand the answer to the guiding question. When you post your connection step to the timeline, you post it to your entry, not to the other person's. So, for example, the person who posted on La Virgen de Guadalupe, I'm not going to post on their entry, I'm going to post it to mine. So I'll just enter a couple of times to give some space, and then I'll write connection, and that's where I will paste the connection step. I'll save that just so you can see it when you log into the course timeline. Hopefully me moving my head around isn't too horrible. All right, so now if you look at let me go over here, and if you look at the entry, you'll see I put the connection. So that's how you work on Tiki. Hopefully that makes sense. Please, again, let me know what questions you have. I look forward to building our timeline together this semester.